The hallway was buzzing with noise, students rushing to their next classes, but in the middle of the chaos, everything seemed to freeze for Amara Johnson. She was walking quietly, her backpack slung over one shoulder, when a hand suddenly shot out and grabbed her by the collar. The fabric pressed against her neck, choking her slightly. She gasped, her eyes widening as she looked into the sneering face of Logan, the self-proclaimed king of the school, surrounded by his group of friends who were laughing cruelly. "Where do you think you're going so fast?" Logan taunted, yanking her collar tighter. His voice carried loud enough for others in the hallway to hear. A hush fell over the students nearby and eyes turned to watch the scene unfold. Some looked uncomfortable, but none stepped forward. Amara's heart pounded in her chest. She had felt invisible for so long in this school, new, quiet, and one of the only black girls in her grade. She was used to the whispers, the stares, the little remarks that cut deeper than anyone realized. But this was different. Logan's grip was more than an act of bullying. It was an attempt to humiliate her, to remind her that she didn't belong. "Let go of me," Amara said, her voice calm but firm, though her hands trembled at her sides. Logan smirked. "Or what? You gonna cry? Run to the principal? That's what people like you do?" "Right." His friends laughed, echoing his cruelty. The sting of those words pressed against Amara's chest, but instead of breaking, something inside her hardened. She remembered her mother's words the night before. "Never let anyone decide your worth. You carry your ancestors' strength in you. Stand tall, Amara, even when they try to break you." With steady hands she reached up, pried Logan's fingers off her collar, and stepped back. The crowd gasped, shocked at her boldness. Logan blinked in disbelief, his smirk faltering. "What do you think you're doing?" he demanded. Amara's voice rang clear in the silence. "I'm standing up for myself. You don't own me, Logan. You don't get to treat me like I'm less than you, because I'm not, and you know it." The hallway erupted in murmurs. Some students exchanged surprised looks, while others nodded in quiet approval. Logan's face turned red. He wasn't used to anyone defying him, let alone someone he had labeled as weak. His pride was on the line, and his friends were watching. "You think you're tough," he snapped, stepping closer, his fists clenching. Amara didn't flinch. She met his eyes steadily, her voice unwavering. "Tough isn't about pushing people down to feel big. Tough is about lifting yourself up when others try to break you. And that's what I've been doing my whole life." There was a pause, a tense silence that seemed to stretch forever. Then, from the back of the crowd, a voice spoke up. "She's right." Everyone turned. It was James, one of the basketball players who usually hung around Logan but had grown tired of his antics. "You pick on people to hide how insecure you are, Logan. You're not a leader. You're a coward." More voices followed, some quietly, others louder. "Yeah, leave her alone. This has gone too far." Logan's confidence cracked. For the first time, he realized he was losing control of the crowd. His grip on power was slipping, and it terrified him. He muttered something under his breath and stormed off, his friends hesitating before awkwardly following him. The crowd didn't cheer, but the silence was filled with respect. Students looked at Amara differently now, not as someone to ignore or whisper about, but as someone strong. Amara, still shaking inside, exhaled slowly. She hadn't just stood up to Logan, she had stood up to every doubt, every whisper, every voice that told her she wasn't enough. That afternoon, she sat under a tree by herself, trying to process what had happened. To her surprise, a few students came over and sat with her. James was one of them. "That was brave," he said simply. "You didn't just shock Logan, you shocked all of us, in a good way." For the first time since she had moved to this school, Amara smiled without hesitation. She realized that courage didn't always roar. It sometimes whispered in shaky voices, sometimes came in trembling hands. But courage, once shown, could inspire others to find their own. From that day forward, the hallways felt different. Not because bullying vanished overnight, but because Amara had sparked something, a reminder that standing up for yourself wasn't just about one moment of defiance. It was about changing how people saw you and how they saw themselves. And the message lingered long after. Strength is not in the grip that tries to hold you down. It's in the heart that refuses to stay there. The sound of slamming lockers echoed through the high school hallway, a rhythm that Amara Johnson had grown all too used to. Every day, she walked those halls with her head slightly lowered, hoping to get from one class to the next without drawing attention. Being one of the few black girls in a mostly white school wasn't easy. It wasn't just the whispers or the stares. It was the feeling of being singled out, of always being different. Amara was smart, kind, and talented at drawing, but none of that seemed to matter here. All that mattered to the people who tormented her was that she didn't fit their idea of normal. And no one made her feel it more than Logan. Logan was the kind of bully who didn't just shove you into lockers, he shoved you into silence. He had a way of making people afraid to stand up for themselves because he thrived on control. His friends cheered him on, and teachers often turned a blind eye. That morning, Amara had only wanted to drop off a library book before class. She walked quickly, clutching the book to her chest. But before she could slip past, Logan's voice cut through the hallway. "Hey, look who it is, the silent princess." His group snickered, closing in around her. Amara ignored them, trying to keep walking. But then it happened. Logan's hand shot out and grabbed her collar, yanking her back so hard that the book fell from her hands and hit the floor. The hallway went quiet. Students slowed down, forming a circle drawn by the spectacle. Amara's breath caught in her throat as Logan leaned in, his sneer inches from her face. "What's the rush? You think you're too good to even look at us?" he taunted. His grip tightened on her shirt. For a moment, Amara froze. Her mind flooded with every insult, every moment of loneliness she had bottled up. Her throat tightened, not just from his hand, but from the weight of everything she had been carrying. Then, something inside her shifted. She remembered the late night talks with her mom, who always told her, "Amara, people will try to break you, but you are stronger than their words, stronger than their hate. You come from generations of survivors. Don't forget that." Her trembling hands steadied. She placed her fingers on Logan's wrist, pried his grip free, and stepped back with a firmness that stunned everyone. Her voice, though soft at first, grew stronger with each word. "Don't touch me again. I'm not your toy. I'm not your target, and I'm definitely not afraid of you." The words cut through the silence like glass shattering. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Logan blinked, caught off guard. He hadn't expected resistance, not from her. "You think you're tough," he barked, his face twisting in anger. Amara's eyes locked on his. "No, I think I'm tired. Tired of you, tired of being treated like I don't matter. Toughness isn't about grabbing someone's collar. Toughness is standing tall even when people like you try to pull me down." For the first time, Logan hesitated. His friends shifted uncomfortably, unsure whether to laugh or stay silent. Then from the back a voice called out, "She's right." It was James, a tall basketball player who usually hung with Logan but had grown sick of his cruelty. His words carried weight, and suddenly the balance of power shifted. Others joined in. "Leave her alone, man. Yeah, this is messed up. Why are you always picking on people?" Logan's face flushed with rage and embarrassment. He glanced around, realizing he was losing his audience, the very thing he craved most. With a frustrated shove at one of the lockers, he stormed away, his friends reluctantly trailing after him. The crowd slowly dispersed, but the energy lingered. Students looked at Amara with something new in their eyes, respect. Amara's knees felt weak, but she stood tall. For the first time, she felt the weight lift from her shoulders. She hadn't just defended herself, she had shown everyone that strength wasn't about fists or fear. It was about courage. Later that day, James approached her at lunch. "That was incredible," he said. "You didn't just stand up to Logan. You showed the rest of us that we don't have to keep letting him control everything." Amara smiled, a real smile this time. "I wasn't trying to prove anything. I was just done being silent." From that day forward, the halls of the school felt different. Not perfect, not free of cruelty, but changed. Logan no longer had the same grip on people, and Amara was no longer invisible. She had claimed her voice, and in doing so, she had inspired others to find theirs.